Hi, this is Lori Uemura, and this is the platform for teacher for instructional supervision and evaluation. And I decided to go with this format. This is going to be kind of a mock-up of a presentation that I would use to roll out my vision and the theme or motto for the year with my staff, and then um, how I would introduce it, and how I would define it, and hopefully articulate the mission in a way that the teachers could understand and be on board with it. So my my vision for theme is every student known, every student mine. I almost went with every child known, every child mine, but sometimes when you get into secondary, um, teachers and also students kind of cringe at the word child. So I think it would kind of depend on the situation. But the idea is that every student deserves to be known. Every student wants to be known, even if it's just one or two adults in the building. I think our students benefit greatly and perform better academically and fit in better socially, and all when they feel a connection with teachers and staff at the building. Um, and then the every student mind part is it's based on the idea that we want to treat the students, teach the students, deal with the students in a way that we would with our own children. That we would want our own children treated that way and taught that way. Um, so that is the overarching vision that I have, and this is how we're going to do it. So first of all, I'm going to turn off the. Um, I'm, I'm going to turn off. Sorry. I'm going to turn off the camera so you can see the whole screen. All right, so first of all, start with these belief statements, and hopefully we would have time to make sure that everyone was on board with these beliefs, and these were shared beliefs and values. But these are really important to me, and I think very important in order to meet the vision of every student known, every student mind. First of all, we believe that every student can learn. We believe that every student deserves our very best as educators. Um, we believe that collaboration is very powerful, whether it's us or our students. And we also believe that if we ask our students to take risks, to innovate, make mistakes, that we need to be risk takers as well. And that when one of us succeeds, we all succeed. So, um, oh, okay. So, where do we start? So the first thing is in getting to know the students and figuring out where we are in the regards to that already. And so I really like this activity that the school in Nevada did, in Reno, I believe. And I'm not going to show you the video, but it's embedded here in this presentation if you want to see it. But they put up a list of all the students, all the rosters, and the teachers went through and put check next to them if they recognized their name and face. They put another mark if they knew something about them academically, or like their private life, like their family, or if they knew what they were passionate about. And we did that here, and it was a very powerful activity. And I think it would be a good springboard for the Every Child Known, Every Student Mind initiative. And one of the big takeaways from that video was a quote by one of the teachers, and I have it here on the screen. It says, "The students here should be seen as people and not just pupils. The more valued they are for their individuality, the more successful they're going to be in the classroom, the more risks they're going to be willing to take." That's a very powerful statement, and I would have to agree 100%. The next thing I would do is set up a time to look at data. Nobody really likes data. I don't really care for data. It is not much fun. But why do we do it? It's because it is really important. And so I would first have the staff select external and internal assessment data that they want to use to disaggregate and analyze. And then we need to decide what that data actually can tell us and what it can't. And then use that information, do the analysis of that data, and then use that to diagnose the what and where of the gaps that our students are experiencing, and then identify potential obstacles. Not obstacles to use as excuses, but obstacles to acknowledge and try to decide as a faculty, as a team, how we're going to overcome those. The next step, I would institute a teacher goal setting program. So at the beginning of the year, each teacher would have a goal setting meeting with me, and it would include, they would have a form. It would be very transparent that it's part of the ongoing evaluation. But it would be composed of professional goals for themselves as teachers, and then also with student progress goals. Of course, both of those goals would be focused on those gaps and obstacles that we identified when we analyzed the data. For the teacher's practice, it would be about improving and transforming that practice, and then it would be grounded in performance expectations, which would also be transparent and, posted, given to all the teachers. These are the standards that by which you will be assessed. And then the student progress goals that the teachers will make will also be focused on those gaps and obstacles that were identified. They will be challenging, but attainable. And then they will be based on our curriculum that we've adopted, what we've chosen to be our method, whether it's, Common Core or whatever the case may be. The next, I fell in love with the mini observation model. I really love it. As a teacher and also as a practicing administrator, I found it to be a very powerful tool in a lot of ways, not just in evaluation, but in building a sense of collegiality and collaboration. It made it easier to have, conversations about what was happening in the classroom, whether it was maybe a difficult conversation, or maybe it was a praise. It was, an affirming conversation that was really positive. So I would introduce the mini observation model. This might be in addition to a more traditional formal observation model that might be in place, but I would definitely do this as well. They would be frequent and announced, of course, except right now I'm telling the staff that it's going to be happening. Any of those observations that I do will, again, be focused on the gaps and obstacles that we identified. They'll be focused on the teachers' goals that they set during their goal-setting meeting with me at the beginning of the year. And I will always try to be looking for the good things, for the positive things, so that those can be shared out with the staff as a whole, so that we can reach that every student known, every child mind vision. And then they would, of course, be followed by face-to-face feedback conversations about what we saw, what we think. Another program that I would like to start would be an open doors program. It might be, like a week or two each semester, but and it would be voluntary. My experience in the past with these types of programs is that the first time it was really hard to get teachers to volunteer to open their doors to their colleagues. But after the first time, it was like everybody was like, "Oh yeah, it was so great. I'd love to do it again." And we had more teachers signing up to open their classroom doors, because it really is an opportunity to see your colleagues practicing their art of teaching. It's an opportunity to see students in different settings. Sometimes a student who might be in my class and struggles in science might really excel in the English class, and I might be able to see, like a passion or some way that I can something that I can leverage in the science classroom to make their time with me more valuable and productive. And then it's also an opportunity to get feedback from our colleagues and from other professional educators. So when they're observing us and they give us feedback, we're like, oh, yeah, you teachers really take it more to heart because they know it's coming from a fellow educator who is in the classroom trenches every day with them. The other thing that I would offer is a personalized professional learning program. PD can be really great and PD can be really awful. So I would still like to focus on the gaps and obstacles that we identified through our data, but I would also like to shift the focus on the needs of individual teachers as well as, like disciplines or grade levels, because sometimes you see different gaps and different obstacles depending on the grade level or depending on the discipline area. So I'd like it to be a little bit more streamlined, but personalized at the same time. Those PD opportunities will be grounded in research-based best practices. It's not just something that we think might be good, but something that there is a little bit of evidence out there that it is a good idea, and exploring that. And then I would also encourage any of the teachers, because we know that any of those programs, no matter how good they are, they're not one size fits all. They're not a magic bullet. And so I would also encourage teachers who are willing to do action research in the here and now, in our school, in their classrooms, to collect some authentic data about where we are and what works. So I think that would be a really great professional development opportunity for some teachers. I think that would really go for that. And then I would, as the principal, promise my staff and the students, everybody, to be fully present and an active participant in all those things, whether it's, an open doors week or like the activity to get to know our students, be visible, be in and out of classrooms all the time. I'll participate in the PDs and any kind of that, the data disaggregation that we might do. I will be fully participating in those. I will also focus all of my observations and my input on those gaps and obstacles. I promise to give frequent and honest feedback. I'm willing to have those difficult conversations, but I'm also, really excited to have those positive conversations about, encouraging teachers and telling them what a great job they're doing. I promise to manage our resources as best I can, whether that be time or, teachers scheduling or materials, curriculum resources, whatever that might be. I will do my best to manage those well. I will always have an open door. I'm always willing to listen. I try not to be thin-skinned about things, and listen to people's ideas and address people's questions. And then to have a transparent evaluation process, not just the mini observations, but anything else, any other factor that I'm using towards their evaluation, they will know that it is part of the process. And I expect for them to hold my feet to the fire. So, in the day-to-day, we all kind of get caught up in the minutia and all those little details. But I think if I ask my faculty to hold my feet to the fire, to hold me accountable, to keep me honest, that it will help me do a better job too. And I will be doing the same for them. So I hope they're ready. And then finally, the idea of, inclusion. We are all in this together, and not just the faculty and staff, not just the administration, but our students and our parents. So we want everyone to have a seat at the table. And we're going to start building a culture of inclusion by, again, all of this is focused on those achievement gaps that we see and any obstacles that are specific to our school that we need to overcome. I want to make sure that we are utilizing all members of our community. They are a very important resource, a very valuable resource. I want to extend an open door policy to parents so that parents feel free to, and not like coming into your classroom, but this idea that they are looped in on all communication and that you have some way that you communicate the, day to day, week to week activities that are going on, what's happening in the classrooms. And then I will do the same, try to hold regular parent meetings so that I can address any questions or problems that they might have. I think we would need to design surveys that ask the right questions, maybe difficult questions, maybe questions that we don't really want to hear the answer to, but that we need to in order to make sure that we are including everyone and everyone has a seat at the table, and that we have identified all of the obstacles, because our parent community and the community at large might see issues that we don't see. Maybe we don't live in this area, so having people who live in the community within the school district, they have very valuable perspective that we need to take into account. And then I would like to come up with ways that we can involve the community more, just in everyday school activities, extracurricular activities, athletics, things like that, so that it's kind of a it's like this. I'm a scientist, so I keep thinking of like osmosis and diffusion. So it's like we're part of the cell. I would like to think that we're like the nucleus of the cell, the center of the cell, but then the rest of the community is also really vital to the health of the cell. And so I think getting the community involved in this way, including them in all these things, will make us a healthier school. We also want to develop a culture of inclusion among our students. We want to make sure every student known, every student mind, that they feel like they're part. So I would develop a house league program that would be a blend of multiple grades. And I started one here at KIS, and each house is a blend of a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade advisory. It's really fantastic. It's been going really well. And part of the purpose is to build like sub-communities within the school community or within the grade community or the classroom community, so that more students have contact with other students that they might not see during the regular school day. It's an opportunity for social and emotional growth. And this is where, we're going to hopefully focus on some ethical behaviors. So, and it is I think a house league program is a way to have some friendly competition, but also a way to celebrate successes on a larger scale. Here in a house league, when a student is recognized, okay, I'm not really sure. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I think they're testing it. I hope. But what we do is when a student is recognized for being responsible or being kind or academic excellence, their house receives a point. And so it's a competition among houses. And then on top of that, we're celebrating individual student success, but in that greater community. In order to instill those ethical behaviors, it's got to start with us, with me, and with the teachers. We got to model it every day in and day out. We must teach it explicitly. And any biases that we have, they cannot get in the way of ethical behavior. We've got to stop making excuses. We've got to identify those biases that we may have, and suss them out and nip them in the bud so that they don't get in the way of us modeling that ethical behavior. So the final piece in the puzzle of every student known, every student mind is the socio-political context. I want our faculty to understand, I want everyone to understand that where we come from is important. We need to know where our students are coming from. We need to know what a good education, how a good education is defined within the community, and then try to come to some kind of resolution between what we as professional educators define it as, and then come up with the best definition for our school. We also need to recognize that poverty and wealth wield influence on who we are as people. We need to recognize that and figure out what it means for our school. We need to celebrate cultural diversity and not...
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is a notice that the fire alarm...
So, it was a fire alarm. And I'm going to leave all this in just because this is really like the true day in the life of a teacher or an administrator. You never know when something like that's going to happen. You just got to roll with the punches, right? And I learned a lot about being prepared for this type of alarm at the last, because the alarm went off like 3 minutes before the final bell. And so we had to evacuate all the students like down the hill, and all the buses are lined up waiting to take them. And it's freezing cold outside. It's like 20 degrees, 23 degrees outside, something like that. Some of the kids were coming from swimming. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting debrief on that one. So I'm going to leave it in. All right, so to go back to the final piece of the puzzle for every student known and every student mind, this socio-political context. As teachers, and myself included, we often kind of rely on our administrators and the superintendents and people like that to figure out the socio-political context. But I think we have to all participate in the discussion and in figuring things out, because this does have such a huge impact on our students, who they are, how they learn, what their attitudes are towards school and towards their teachers and things. So this is a very important part that I think we sometimes neglect as teachers. And so I will try to bring my teachers into the conversation and communicate information as it becomes available to me, so that we're all on the same page. It's also, really important for us to know about the laws that regulate our school. Whether it's the hours or the curriculum or whatever. So we need to all be aware of that, not just the building administrator, but all teachers need to have at least a cursory understanding of those things. All right, so that's my platform for achieving this vision I have of every student known and every student mind. And I hope, here we go.
Attention students. Attention students. Attention students. The buses.
I had to put myself back on the screen. Joanne, I don't know what to say. I feel like I'm just going to leave it in. If you want me to redo this without all of these interruptions, all the craziness that's going on today, I'll be happy to do that. But if you're okay with this, I'm okay with this. So yeah, that's my vision. This has come over the course of this semester worked. I have to say, and I'm not trying to be the teacher's pet or anything, but I have to say This is absolutely my favorite class of all the ones that I've taken through this pre-AL program. I have been inspired by the things that I've read and the experiences that I've had through this class. Oh, okay. I'm going to try to be serious. So back to instructional supervision and evaluation. Really my favorite class so far. It's been the most valuable, I think, for me because one of my strongest core value that I discovered in the leadership class, in the leadership course with Gary, is the idea of human relationships. And so I really see that in every part of my practice as a teacher, and I feel like that it's definitely going to carry over into my practice as a principal, and that these relationships are so important for everyone's success. And so over the course of the semester, as we've been doing the work, both in your course and in the leadership class, there's been a lot of crossover, a lot of parallels there. I've been thinking about this and like what I would do as a principal. And so it was really easy for me to put together this presentation because I had already been thinking about it for months and kind of refining my vision and plan, and kind of editing and revising the things that I would want to do. So thank you for providing that opportunity to me. It's been very rewarding, and I hope you're okay with all of the interruptions. And I promise I will re-record it if you would like me to. Just let me know. I'll be happy to do that over the weekend. All right. Thank you so much, Joanne.